Hello, comrades, and welcome back to Steve on Steve. And this time we'll be coming back to Crisis in the Kremlin. It's been a while, hasn't it, since we've looked at this? Probably one of the best series I've ever done, or the best series of series I've ever done on my channel, and it is making a comeback. I will definitely be doing a more kind of long-term episodic series soon of Crisis in the Kremlin. There have been some people who have been very insistent on a certain playthrough, and those people know who they are. And to those people I say, please help me, I don't know how to do that. It's very difficult. But in this video, we will be trying out one of the new DLCs, or rather the new DLC, the Perestroika start. There's the Chernobyl catastrophe start and the Perestroika start. So I've tested this once before, like a month or two ago, when I wanted to make a video on this, but didn't. But here is that video now. So let's select Perestroika, and here we are. With the little fanfare, we're right in it. So we see the familiar layout of the Crisis in the Kremlin, but of course here we have some very different things. We have a bunch of statistics for infrastructure, economic growth, standard of living, agriculture, industry, political power, population satisfaction, and collapse. So the year is 1989, and we're only looking at Russia. We're playing as the leader of Russia. So in the first scenario, you play as the leader of the Ukraine during the Chernobyl catastrophe, and here you're playing as the leader of the Russian Federative Socialist Republic during the Perestroika catastrophe. Yeah, there's not much we can do with the settings. We can't look at a map. We can look at the budget, so let's see. There's only one budget screen in this DLC, and we can spend on propaganda, social spending, development of industry, the KGB, agriculture, and infrastructure. So I imagine spending on propaganda and the KGB will be quite a good idea if we want things to go well for us. So let's see. Let's go to our first decision. Oh yes, we have to select our difficulty. We will go with... Yeah, achievements can be unlocked. So we'll be playing with the normal 3 difficulties of corruption, instability of the center, and I guess Perestroika is unstoppable. So I guess that one means that there's nothing you can do to influence whether the events, I suppose specific events, happen or not from Gorbachev or whoever. But yes, I guess we'll see. Let's go. New day of a great country. Good afternoon, Vitaly Ivanovich. I inform you that the New Year's holidays were held without any notable incidents. 1988 was a difficult year for us, but do not despair. Only the conquest of new peaks is ahead. Oh, if everything was so optimistic. The problem of commodity shortages continues to worsen, the pace of economic growth is declining, and discontent in Russia, as in other Union republics, continues to grow. And if until now it has been possible to restrain popular anger with passionate speeches about perestroika, democracy and glasnost, now the situation is starting to get out of control. The Ryzhkov government wants to introduce a card supply system throughout the country, which until then had been involved mainly in provincial cities for a limited list of goods. However, we know that the current mess in the country is a logical result of the abolition of the state monopoly of the government on foreign trade, due to which Soviet goods began to be exported for nothing, leaving the Soviet buyer with lines and a shortage of essential goods. However, we could try to put spoke into the wheels of cannibalistic reforms, but will we not cause the Kremlin's anger by our actions? So, we can basically try to fuck with the perestroika and sabotage it and make it not work, which of course it didn't. Or we can just try to make it work as much as we can, improve it. Or at least bring it as close to working as possible. Or just kind of run the middle ground. Or we can just end the game right now, we can resign. Yeah, I always loved that that's an option. So what should we do? Limit the export of goods abroad and hit corrupt officials at customs. So that's kind of dialing back perestroika, I suppose. Introduce a card system and offer Ryzhkov to increase retail prices. Let's see what happens with that, because I think just the card system is not going to be enough. A card distribution system was introduced throughout the country, trying to alleviate the difficult food situation, keep goods in the districts and offer the necessary goods in necessary quantities from suppliers. Food stamps began to appear on the ground. sugar, oil, synthetic detergents, the most common products sold in the card system, etc. At the suggestion of Comrade Vorotnikov, sent to the chairman of the Council of Ministers of the USSR, Nikolai Ryzhkov, prices for essential goods such as meat, eggs, fish, and sugar were raised, which caused sharp discontent. Okay. That was probably a very poor move from the get-go, raising prices. Let's see. Yeah, we didn't do anything to address the shortage of goods, so let's see. Yeah, we can't. Next turn we'll have some money to pump into something, but let's see, let's go for the next one. After the January resolution of the Central Committee of the CPSU on additional measures to restore justice in relation to victims of repression that took place in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, basically this is anti-communism stuff. Memorial is a non-profit organization conducting active educational work in the field of political repressions, which they claim to have been in the Soviet Union since the 30s. About Stalinist terror, access to archives, etc. These activists are going to run for the upcoming Congress of People's Deputies, which will allow them to broadcast to a multi-million audience. Ooh. See, this is going to be interesting. I think we're going to try to shut this down, because this is just going to spread hella discontent, and we don't want that. So intervene in the registration of the organization and try to close it. The Ministry of Justice rejected the appeal of the Memorial Company in registering. After that, searches were conducted at the Moscow headquarters. Documents were found confirming the connection of human rights activists with Western anti-Soviet publications. Oof. In response to this, Gorbachev said that he would take the case under personal guardianship and perpetrators would be punished. This incident undermined the authority of the human rights defenders and unsettled the work of the headquarters. So most of the members of the organization decided not to run for deputies, but Sakharov remains unshakable. Okay, so we've undermined the people trying to destabilize things a bit. That's probably a good thing. And let's fund... What should we fund? So social spending, right, is probably good to keep down panic. And that'll probably increase goods, I hope. Let's see. Okay. Perestroika, democracy, glaznost. This month, new elections of people's deputies should be held. According to the idea, this will be the first uncompetitive and alternative election in the Soviet Union that will elect 2,250 representatives to the new supreme authority, the Congress of People's Deputies. Even before the start of the election, one of the candidates from Latvia pointed out oddities in the formation of constituencies. In the Latvian SSR, districts were created which were 4 times different in number from urban ones. Arithmetically, the average number of constituencies. Basically, some bullshit with constituencies. According to him, the rights of citizens in the working class to elect their deputies are artificially limited, therefore. Nevertheless, citizens are in anticipation of the elections because before their eyes a swift coup in the political sphere of the country flares up. So, will we be standing for elections? I feel like we should do that, right? To keep playing this game. Support pro-perestroika reformers, support the most progressive characters. We'll stand for election. Vitaly Ivanovich, I congratulate you. You were able to win the election by beating your competitor. Out of 2,250 deputies elected, 1,957 are communists. That's pretty good. Many famous people like Sakharov, Yeltsin, Yakovlev, and Dikhachev also elected. The first Congress is scheduled for May. Alright, interesting what the results will be. We managed to curb the Memorial faction from getting elected, so that'll probably play well for us in the long run. So, the April plenum. Vitaly Ivanovich, the first post-election plenary session of the Central Committee should be held very soon. We're according to some people close to close to Gorbachev, former Brezhnevists and other pensioners from the committee will resign, under the pretext of rejuvenating the cadres. Nevertheless, the conservatives are also not going to be silent and are ready to retaliate against the perestroika, for they have something to say given the failures of the CPSU in the elections in Moscow and Leningrad. So, what are we going to do? Are we going to support Gorbachev and perestroika, or are we going to criticize and support the conservatives? Oh, let's see. I haven't done much to undermine the perestroika, but also haven't done much to support it. I've just kind of tried to make things a bit better. Let's see what happens if we criticize. What is the picture today in the central organs of the party? If we turn to the numbers, I must say that out of 300 members of the Central Committee, 83 are now retired. Among 157 candidates for membership of the committee, 27 pensioners. Among 82 members of the Auditing Commission, 12 are pensioners. Thus, now in the central organs of the party, 122 people are pensioners. Today's life, its dynamics and scale, and tasks that fall on the shoulders of the Central Committee require much more activity. There's a speech by Sergeyevich Mikhail at the April plenary meeting, and came up with fierce criticism from the conservatives, who, it was clear to the party committees that are not able to get out of the rut, began to fail after the failure of the main areas. Vitaly Vorotnikov, joining the criticism of the reformers, called perestroika an inevitable movement into the abyss. Ooh. As a result, 74 members of the Central Committee and 24 candidates for membership were removed from the Central Committee at the plenum, but a strong coalition of principal opponents for reform was formed amongst the remaining. So it looks like a bunch of conservatives got removed, but we managed to save a lot, I guess. Let's see. Miss USSR. Very soon, the first all-union beauty contest. This Western degeneracy has come. Even schoolgirls 16 to 17 years old are allowed to participate, oh lord. The girls answered questions that already become standard about cherished dreams, about the demonstration of beach ensembles. The Komsomol Central Committee is categorically against organizing such events. Yeah, I agree. Let's fight against such bourgeois depravity. Oh, we don't have enough political power to fight against it. Well, in that case, we may as well go all out and send a contestant to Miss World. Miss USSR was won by 17-year-old 10th grader from Moscow, Yulia Sukhanova. She was the finalist in 98 in the first Soviet beauty contest, Moscow Beauty. Interesting. Anna Gorbanova presented the USSR at the Miss World 1989 World Contest, taking first place in Miss Photogenicity. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's see. Can we spend money on anything? We cannot. That's unfortunate. Political power is on the rise, which means we should be able to participate in at least one major event. And collapse isn't rising too quickly, which I think is good. The first Congress of the People's Deputies. I feel like this is where things will get very tricky. The long-awaited opening of the first Congress of People's Deputies has happened. On the first day, the Congress elected Gorbachev as chairman. Naturally. The meeting, which was broadcast live, chained millions of Soviet citizens to the TV who were eager to see the birth of Soviet pluralism. For the first time, viewers were able to see the speeches of Sakharov, who criticized the political system that thanks to the position of the chairman, almost unlimited power is concentrated in the hands of one person. Also, historian Afanasyev spoke at the Congress using the term of the Stalin-Brezhnev Supreme Council, an aggressively obedient majority with respect to opponents, thereby causing discontent in the media. On the last day of the Congress, in the relative minority, radical deputies formed the Inter-Regional Deputies Group, as opposed to the created Union faction, which advocated the preservation of the USSR. Okay, what do we do? Yeah, we don't want to join a faction that is against maintaining the Union, so we'll join the Union faction. Yeah, formed around supporters of a single Union state, the Union Deputy Group sharply criticized all populist-minded politicians and Baltic separatists trying to secede from the USSR. Cool. Good stuff. I feel like that is definitely the right party for us to be associated with. We have a lot of political power, but things are starting to fall apart, it looks. We spend money on KGB to help with panic and political power. Mining strikes. Oof. Comrade Vitaly Ivanovich, the mining workers of Kuzbas refused to work. Having stopped work, leaving the necessary numbers of workers to maintain the life of the mines, the workers took to the streets and squares of the city. Order was maintained by the strikers, strike committees formed. New labor leaders began to appear and nominations were made for strike committees. About 300 miners of Mezhdurishensk refused to go down to the mine and presented the administration with about 20 demands. The main ones were related to wages in the evening and at night, with the establishment of a single day off, the provision of mines and miners with detergents and food during work underground. All these issues could be resolved almost immediately at the level of the city authorities, but the local coal miners' union was not on the side of the miners, but on the side of the authorities. Okay. We need to resolve it, right? We can't bully them, because then word will spread, and that will cause massive discontent, and the mining strike is already spreading. So, yeah, we're going to allocate funds to address social requirements. The government of the RSFSR sent delegates to negotiate with protest leaders. One of the ministers agreed to accept social economic demands, but categorically rejected all political. Power crisis would lead to the arrival of populist-minded forces. Nevertheless, the government agreed to increase of salaries by 40% and promised to control the price increases. Okay. The workers returned to their places. Alright, that seems to be under control. And that's actually decreased the collapse by a little bit. That's amazing. I didn't know that that could happen. I thought it would just keep creeping inexorably up. Yeah, we're out of money a bit because of that. Are we going to have to lower funding? Yeah, damn. That's what happens. We have to lower funding from KGB, I guess, for at least a turn. CPSU Kompot Rock and Roll. Soon Moscow should host the Moscow World Music Festival, the purpose of which is to raise funds for the treatment of drug addicts and for financing all kinds of anti-drug programs in the USSR. Despite good intentions, the main musical groups have been branded in Soviet media as Western rock and roll artists. The songs of which, according to domestic publications, are as anti-Soviet as possible and promote Nazism, fascism, racism, Satanism, and other existing and non-existent sins. Thus, a dual morality of this event is created. It seems a good deed, and the funds received from ticket sales will be sent in the right direction, but on the other hand, it is an ideological undermining of the USSR population. Whew, that is actually a tricky one. We can cancel it. I think they'll use up all our political power. People will be very, very, very unhappy. So we'll just coordinate the festival and make people happy. The festival was a great success. Ticket prices were lower than normal at only 3 rubles. Depriving profits of speculators. That's good. Increasing attendance. As a result, in 2 days the festival was visited by a total of 120,000, making it the most massive in the history of the Union. The festival was attended by the most famous rock stars by the most famous rock stars of the West, and the television audience mounted to about 1 billion people, bringing a lot of additional funds. However, the conservatives are deeply disappointed. Indeed. And collapse has actually jumped up as a result of that, which isn't great. We should fund agriculture. You know, I didn't want to do it, but as I see, our agriculture is lagging behind, as is everything else, frankly, but we need to fund that. So, our political line is apparently resistant to Gorbachev and his gang, which is fair enough. And it's almost the end of 1989, let's see. Tetris, oh. Even before Perestroika, the Soviet programmer Alexei Pajitnov wrote the uncomplicated computer puzzle game Tetris. Yeah, I'm not going to explain the essence of the game Tetris. However, the main problem is that the dirty capitalists are fighting for authorship and the right to license the game. Yeah, we need to make them ourselves. No, we will make Tetris a proud Soviet instrument. We will not sell some bullshit license. Basically, contrary to their expectations, we refused to sell the license for Tetris. American guests were left with nothing, and the conversion of electronic factories into conveyors for the production of cartridges began, the sales of which were equal to the export of vodka to the USA. Well, holy shit, that's awesome. So Tetris is great. And still our economic growth is decreasing, but standard of living is higher, which is a good thing. And we have more money as a result of that. That's good. So where do we need to allocate it? Let's see. Economic growth and agriculture. Yeah, I'm gonna put some into industry and some more into... I can't. Not enough. Next turn we'll put some into KGB. Okay, as you know, all Soviet republics have their own federal communist party, but Russia does not have one. Oh, right. Opposition to the CPSU requires the creation of a communist party of the Russian Federation, Federated Soviet Republic, in order to get opportunity for action to further review the reforms carried out. Okay. Gorbachev wants to revive the Russian Bureau of the Central Committee. Yeah, they argue if the reactionaries argue if the Communist Party of Russia is created, it will provoke increased separatism. I agree. We will categorically oppose the creation of a CP in Russia. Vorotnikov spoke at the next party meeting, calling the course of political reform of Russia an inevitable movement towards disintegration. They elected a Central Committee of by decision of the plenum to coordinate the activities of the regional party organizations aimed at the implementation of the policy of the CPSU, to monitor the implementation of decisions of congresses and conferences of the party, plenums of the Politburo of the Central Committee of the USSR, of the CPSU. However, the opposition still demands the creation of the separate Communist Party. Yeah, they're not going to be happy with that, but that's going to prevent Yeltsin from getting too much power, I hope. I'm kind of trying to make the future safer for us. Yes, let's fund some more into KGB. And yeah, collapse is increasing, which is not good. Memory. Oh, they're back. The so-called National Patriotic Front Memory, yeah, okay, is an anti-Soviet ultra-right and monarchist organization. However, it continues to exist. It reiterated itself in 1987 when activists held a rally in Moscow in support of perestroika. In addition to its reactionary anti-Soviet character, it is also famous for the frequency of its splits, the amount of which even the inveterate Trotskyist parties would envy. Fantastic. Nevertheless, it would not hurt us to mobilize all the forces of the KGB in order to finally defeat the supporters of memory. I agree. Let's crush them. They're too powerful. Oh, shatter the memory and put the remaining groups against each other. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, there we go. Thanks to the brilliant work of the 5th section of the KGB, a new split occurred in memory. Mutual accusations of Freemasonry and Zionism completely finished off the organization and broke up into dozens of small but insignificant parties. Right-wing radicals quickly left the country's political scene, retaining their influence only among the most inveterate anti-Soviet. Great, that's good. So we've split up and broken one of the biggest threats to our power, I think. So that's a good thing. Agriculture is improving, which is great. We love to see that. Let's keep going. We're doing good. Okay, so the Second Congress. After the sudden death of Sakharov and the requiem throughout the country, the disgraced Yeltsin became the unwritten leader of the democratic movement. That's bad. So far, the situation of the Congress is in favor of the conservative majority, led by the Union faction, which is diligently demanding the strengthening of the power of the center. Okay. They are too powerful. Shit. So I guess we needed more power or to pick the right choices. But urge the government, I guess, to stop the collapse. Yes. Gorbachev managed to persuade the deputies not to discuss the issue of Article 6. Vorotnikov entered into a polemic against Gorbachev and argued the continuation of perestroika requires decentralization of power. The argument ended in nothing. The 6th article is still valid, but for how long? Okay, so basically that was not good, but that has slowed the collapse down. Apparently the collapse is decreasing, and standard of living is rising, as is industry, economic growth, and agriculture. Infrastructure isn't. That's the thing we need to fund next. Understood. When we can, we will do that. And I think 1990, the 1st of 1990, I think that'll be it for this video. We have not collapsed. I actually expected this attempt to end much quicker. I thought that I would get run out of the country because of my poor decisions, but no, we've survived until at least the end of the first year. We are resistant, apparently, and things are going well. Collapse isn't that high yet, although it is only 1990. Historically, we do have another 2 years almost to fuck things up, which I'm sure I will, and I'll do that in the next episode where I will see y'all. So thank you very much for popping in and watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions or any suggestions for future videos or any games or anything like that I should check out, definitely leave that in the comments down below, and come join our Discord or whatever else. And yeah, I will see y'all in the next video. Bye bye.